Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, one of the major conversations I've had in the last couple of weeks has been around, people whose visa will be expiring soon. What exactly is the next plan? What would they be doing next? And also, what are the different ways they can actually still get a professional job that will definitely sponsor? And the dilemma on the choice of which visa should they focus on, and also conversation around employers promising to provide visa or COS towards the end of the current visa. Now, what are my thoughts on all of this, and what are the reality of what people are actually experiencing when it comes to one visa expiring and being able to switch to a different visa? And ultimately, one of the things, especially for people like us who are currently on a work visa, what are the things you need to avoid and try to put into place while you're on a visa so it doesn't affect your future application for the indefinite leave to remain. Of course, every one of us in the UK, we are all working towards getting the ILR and ultimately getting our British passports and citizenship. And there's some mistakes that if you're making on your current visa as a skilled worker or health and care worker, it might affect your application for the indefinite leave to remain. So, what are those mistakes you should avoid? Common mistakes people are making, and affecting their an application for indefinite leave to remain. I know someone who had to restart the 5 years work visa because of some of the mistakes that I'll be talking about in this particular video. If this sounds like something of interest, you don't go and keep watching till the end. And if you're coming across my channel for the very first time, do it to use the subscribe button to join the amazing growing family. And my returning subscribers, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Hey guys, are you looking at transitioning into data analytics and you're clueless on how to go about it? I've got a good news for you. TechDrive will be organizing a 6 weeks intensive training in data analytics from the 20th of January 2025. Now, during the course of the training, you're going to be trained on how to use advanced Excel for creating automated reports, creating ETL pipelines with SSIS, interrogating and manipulating data with SQL, and ultimately creating a business intelligence report on Power BI. So what are you waiting for? Send an email to techdrive06@gmail.com to get all the details of the training scheduled to start in January 2025, or check out our website www.techdriveuk.com and get all the details that you need to transition into tech today. And trust me guys, you'll be glad you did. So send that email, check out the website, and I'll see you guys in class. Now, I've talked about this in a couple of my past videos, and I think it's important for me to talk about this again. Now, I've seen so many people who are looking at visas, looking at getting visa sponsorship jobs, and they probably get a job with an employer that said, "Oh, currently you have a visa running. We're planning that when your current visa is going to expire, we're going to give you a COS." Now, guys, I've said this countless number of times, and it looks like people are still making the mistake. I had a call with someone 2 days ago, and of course, I got his approval to talk about this, to educate other people so they don't fall into the same mistake that he is at the moment. And what happened was, when he got on the post-study work visa, I think it was about 8 months on the post-study work visa when he got his job, and the employer was like, "Okay, you know what? By the time you're done with the post-study work visa, we're going to give you a COS." And of course, he believed. He relaxed. He was doing the job, waiting that, oh, my visa was to expire. I will let them know. And a month into the expiration of the visa, the employer told him that, oh, because of the new budget, they can't afford to sponsor him and they won't be able to issue him a COS. He can't take them to court. He can't sue them for any reason because there was nothing in writing. Everything was just, a verbal agreement, a verbal conversation. Now, guys, if you have an employer or you currently work with an employer that promises to give you a COS towards the end of your current visa, please don't sit on it. Now, there are two ways. One way, it's either that agreement is put into writing, they have, that information on your contract, that means you're covered. If the information or the agreement of providing a COS is not on your contract, guys, don't sleep on this. Start looking for employers, start applying for jobs elsewhere, and hoping you get a visa sponsorship before your current visa expires. And the second way is, so if there's no written agreement on this sponsorship, don't sleep on it. If they're not providing the work, the COS immediately after the employment is provided, don't sleep on it. Start applying to other jobs. And now it's 1 month towards the end of the current post-study work visa. There's no other option. I mean, there's no way you can get a job and sponsorship in the space of 1 month. So now it's in a dilemma. The organization say, "Oh, we're sorry, they can't," and we've contacted an immigration lawyer, and in my opinion, I think nothing would really come out of it, but we're just hoping that the immigration lawyer will be able to provide, additional insight on what can be done and how they can go around this situation. So the point is, if your employer is promising you COS and is not on your contract, guys, start looking for another job so you don't get stuck along the way. Now, back to the conversation or indefinite leave to remain. And, I've had conversation with people who currently applied, who recently applied for their indefinite leave to remain. And the conversation has always been about making sure that they meet the requirements for the ILR, because come on, ILR is indefinite leave to remain, no restrictions anymore. You now have access to everything you should have access to as a resident here in the UK. And one of the common mistakes I've seen people make, and which has affected their indefinite leave to remain application, is access to public fund. Now, I made a full video on access to public funds. You can check somewhere on this channel and watch that video. I gave a full list of what is called public fund on gov.uk and how you should avoid it. Some benefit that you think you've got access to that you shouldn't have access to. I know someone who got access to ideally an immigrant shouldn't have access to a council house, and for some reason the person that processed the application, probably a new staff, and didn't have like adequate information of immigration policies and all. This new staff approved the council house. This immigrants moved to the council. They were really excited. They were paying half of what they were paying on a normal rent in this council apartment. And when it's time for them to apply for indefinite leave to remain, it was flagged on the UK Home Office, and that was the reason why the ILR was rejected. So you need to be very, very careful when it comes to accessing public funds. There are things that are not public funds. They can have access to things like OMP for those who are going on month leave, some of that stuff that are not necessarily public funds. So I probably want to watch the video to know what the public fund is all about. Now, another thing that's really affected so many people's indefinite leave to remain application is the number of, days they've been absent from the United Kingdom. Now, there's specific information on the gov.uk that says that you must not leave, or you must not have been outside the UK for a long period during your qualifying period of residency, and this of residence in the UK, and this is the period where you're on a skilled worker visa or whatever visa you are on, usually no more than 180 days in any 12-month period during the last 5 years. Now, some people probably give their own interpretation to this, and when they say, oh, it's 180 days in 12 months, it means that in 5 years I shouldn't spend more than 180 times 5. That's not true. What it's saying is that, so if you spend 181 days outside the UK the first year, and you spend just 50 days outside the UK in the second year, you've already, gone against these requirements for applying for indefinite leave to remain. So it means that in 1 year, you must not start outside the UK for more than 180 days. Same thing across the other 5 years. So you need to make sure that you put this into into place. Now, another mistake people are making in terms of like indefinite leave to remain is applying for a new visa or renewal after their current visa expires. I know this sounds ridiculous, but trust me, people are making this mistake. Now, if your visa is going to expire on the 1st of January 2025, for example, you must push out the application. It doesn't necessarily need to be approved before the 1st of January. However, you must submit the application latest 30th or 31st of December 2024. And the reason for this is because I've seen people ask me this question. I think I'm probably just going to throw the answer out there. Now, your visa doesn't necessarily need to be approved for you to actually not stay illegally, if that makes sense. So if your visa, let's give you more context. So this is November. So let's say your visa expires today, 30th of November 2024, and you will be renewing the visa. You plan to renew the visa, let's say 29th of November 2024. Now, it's absolutely fine if you're on that visa for 1st of December, 2nd of December, still awaiting a decision. You are not flouting the rule. You are not staying illegally. However, you need to make sure that you apply, you submit the application before your current visa expires, so you don't get to stay here illegally. Because if you stay a day illegally, your 5 years is gone. You need to probably start counting the 5 years all over again. And I'm sure it's not a mistake you definitely do want to make. Now, another thing most people get to like make mistake on really is people don't really plan for, ILR. Trust me, ILR is expensive. I mean, especially if you've got family, it's ridiculously expensive. So most people don't get to plan for this. And I think in my own opinion, I just think there's going to be a point, probably a year, 2 years down the line to your ILR application. I think you might probably want to start saving some specific amount of money in a particular account because of this whole application. I've seen families spend, tens of thousands of pounds applying for ILR, which is a lot, but I think it's something that it's a one-off payment you're paying to get that indefinite leave to remain. And of course, getting your visa process at that cost entirely, which you're not going to really jump into at the moment. Now, the fee for applying for ILR at the moment is £2,404, which is a lot. 2,000. So if you're a family of 5, that's over 10 grand on the visa application fee. And also, most importantly, you need to make sure that you have plans to get your life in the UK test done. You can do that anytime, really. I've got a friend that did it, I think, on his 4th year on the skilled worker visa. And, basically, getting that exam passed is one of the major requirements for you to apply for indefinite leave to remain. So if you're currently in the skilled worker visa, what are your concerns? What are the things you think you might be doing wrong? And also, most importantly, as a skilled worker, you can't work more than 20 hours outside your contracted hours with your employer. You need to put that into consideration. Please don't overwork so you don't get to like break your the requirements or the condition of your current visa. And also, one of the important things people need to understand is if you're also a skilled worker, of course, nobody's going to approve that. But in case you apply and get approved, it's wrong. You can't own a business in the UK on the skilled worker visa. So your dependent can own a business, but you as the main applicant cannot own a business. So there's so many other things that people are actually not really much aware about and are making so much mistakes. Breaking the rule of the current visa, which ultimately will affect your application for the indefinite leave to remain. So if you have any question around life in the UK generally, transitioning into tech, please state those questions in the comment section. And if you're coming across this channel for the first time, do well to hit on the subscribe button to join the amazing growing family. And my returning subscribers, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate you guys. So this will be the end of this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you.